Okay, today we're looking at an art theme of steampunk. So we've looked briefly at it. Steampunk, this sheet here has a lot of ideas that we can look at steampunk. These themes of like gears, gauges, sort of Victorian engineering really is a general view. And what we're going to do is we're going to create our own name using some steampunk lettering. So you've all got one of these to help you. This is have a look at this. It's got some gears, I say gauges, pipes and things. And here's my steampunk lettering. So I've started here, I've written out in pencil. So I've used a pencil first of all to write Mr. Ridley. You can see there that I've written, I've gone over this then and added my steampunk details, firstly in pencil and then in using a fine liner. So what I did here was sketch out the letter shape, as you can see. So we've got the letter shape here, and I don't know if you can see it, but I did draw some lines very, very, very lightly there in pencil and divided these up to get my lettering correct. And then I've added the basic outlines of the letters, and then what I've done here is I've gone over with a fine line adding my details. So I'm just going to add some more details here. I think just for ease I'm going to work on the letter I, and if we have a look back at the steampunk theme, one of the themes is sort of Victorian style gauges. So if we look here, if you can see that pressure gauge there. So I'm going to change the eye. I'm going to start working on the eye, and if you look at some of the features that I've added here, I've added a gauge here, I've added some vents, bolts, cutouts, a key, kind of fixings and things like that. So I've added those there, and I'm going to just work on this one. So now you could use a pencil. I'm going to, just to make this work slightly quicker, I'm going to use a fine liner, but you could use a pencil, and actually I would recommend adding the details in before you actually start using the fine liner, because with a pencil you can rub it out, whereas once you start working with a fine liner, that's it, you can't really change it. So just working on this pressure gauge here, I'm drawing this freehand. And then I can add, and with the fine liner you can add detail. So I'm going to add some kind of top detail here and put a couple of fixing parts, and then coming down to my letter I here, and then I can add some shading. The shading I can add by just moving the pen like that. So if you look at that, there's my detail. So you can see I've added the gauge detail here, I've added a fixing here, and then small shading details you can see. So I could add a couple more of those here, and with the technique for the shading detail, I don't know if you can see that, but just put the fine liner and just almost flick it away to give yourself, because it's difficult to do graduated shading. This is something we've not used before, using the fine liner. You can't block it in, but I'm going to hope that focuses. Can you see that detail there? So there's the detail of the gauge that I've added. There's some of the other detail. So what I'd like you to do now is, starting with a pencil, get most of your shapes worked out with a pencil, write your name in the steampunk style, and then when you're ready, get yourself a fine liner and complete the lettering. So that's the steampunk lettering.